Okay, hopefully it's going on other things.
Oh, which? Oh, there's two. Oh, never mind. I was looking at. I see there's two Mamarim on the same pasuk.
Well, you saw the one I sent the PDF?
Yeah, so it's the first one, I guess. So
Yeah.
Okay, so I haven't actually looked at this one yet.
Okay, good. Either way, we'll go. Okay.
Man.
Chaim V'racha. Okay. Where did you go? You still there? Okay, so there you are. Now I see you. Okay, good. All right. You can hear me?
Yep.
Good, perfect. Okay, so Tzav is Benai Yisroel v'amat aleim. This is the Korban Ilach mil Ishai v'chulu v'amart lehem ze ha'isha. So it starts off. It's talking about the Korban Tamid, which actually the Korban Tamid is quite an important thing. As we know, there was the discussion amongst the sages that if there's one thing that includes the whole Torah, what is it? And we know that one of the things was what is it? As right? One sheep they should do in the morning and one in the afternoon. So it says Tzav, so it starts out, Tzav is B'nai Yisroel v'amart aleim, command the Jewish people and you shall say to them, right? That's Korban Ilach mil Ishai, my bread offering for fire, Reach Nicheichi, how do you say Reach Nicheiach, pleasing
sense, aroma.
Yes, yeah. Tishmuruli, they should guard, the Tishmurul Hakivli, they should guard to offer to me, b'mayadei in its time. And then it says again, v'amarta lohem, and you shall say to them, Zeho isha asher takrivu l'Hashem, this is the fire that you should bring to Hashem. Kevosim b'nei shana tamimim, sheep who are of a year old, complete. Shnaim layim elosamid, two on each day as the tamid offering, complete offering. So the havin ma'u v'amarta v'amarta. Why does it say v'amarta twice, base palmim? Right, it says, and you shall say to them, as korban ilachmi, my bread, right? And then it continues, and you shall say to them, this is the offering. So why does it say this twice? So when he explains, in other words, it seems like it's a continuation. They're both talking about the korban tamid. So this is odd that you would have again, and you shall say to them, which implies that it's talking now about something else. So every single commandment a person has to do in three ways, with thought, action, and speech. Right? And meaning and also too by the offerings. Meaning that even a mitzvah, right, that at first glance is an action mitzvah. I mean all the mitzvahs, they have a primary thing. Right, and like you have by the karbonis, where the karbonis, it seems like it's the actual bringing of a carbon. It's a physical thing that you do with maaseh, with an act. So even that kind of mitzvah also has to have a thought and a speech, because a mitzvah has to be in all three ways: thought, speech, and action. Machshava. So when it comes to karbonis, what's machshava? What's thought? Zut tefillah aveda shebalev shekeneged karbonis. This is prayer, right? Davening, which this is the service of the heart that corresponds to the offerings. Dibur, what's dibur? Hu Talmud Torah the karbonis. This is the learning of Torah of the karbonis, learning the laws. As we know that when you learn Torah, if your mouth doesn't move, you did not fulfill the obligation of learning Torah. Right, so kol ha'isik b'teira sa'ila v'chulu, that like, right, like it says that anybody who studies the Torah of the oila, it's as if he brought the korban oila.
Saying during the times of the Beis Hamikdash, when everyone were actually bringing korbanos, is talking about in our times.
So we'll see. He's gonna split. He's gonna go into that soon, into Golus versus Mashiach. I don't remember the exact specifics right now because it's been a while since I've learned this one.
Right.
And I'm sure I'm going to be looking at something different today than I was looking at then, because it's always the Alter Rebbe is talking to our here and our now, just like all of Torah. It doesn't. First of all, it talks to us specifically, but not just that. It doesn't talk. The me specifically now is a different me than was before. It talks to the me now. So Vavedes HaKorbanos Atzmon, and the actual service of the sacrifices, Kvasim B'nei Shana, meaning we're talking physical sheep, and every all of the whole things, the whole seder, the whole order they have to go through, the exacting order. Hu HaMaaseh, this is action. So thought, speech, action is the davening, the halachas, the laws, and then the action is the actual bringing the karbonos. So the second pasuk, when it says, and you shall say to them, that's talking about, right, there's a you can bring the first sheep in the morning, right, to bring the year-old sheep twice every day. That's talking about the action. The first pasuk, on the other hand, the pasuk Rishon, Tzav is Bnei Yisroel v'amarta leihem kol yal b'chinas machshava u'dibur. So that talks about the first one, and you shall say to them, that's talking about the thought and the speech, meaning the davening and the learning of the Torah, the laws of the sacrifices. So this is the reason you have a doubling of the Omarta, that the first pasuk is talking about that, and the second pasuk is talking about the physical ones. So that's why it has two Omartas, and you shall say to them. To explain this thing, we have to first understand something else, as the Alter Rebbe frequently does. Is we have to first understand we have to first set down some other basic concepts before we can understand the finesse of this concept. So he's going to explain why prayer service, right, Avedas Atfilah, why does this correspond to the sacrifices that were brought in the temple? And what is the idea of the speech, of the laws of the sacrifices, that through this it's ke'ilu hikra va'ila, right? Like we said, call, what was it? Like it says, call etzig b'teira sa'ila ke'ilu hikra, right? It's as if he brought it. So what are these correlations here? So first we have to understand, what is this reach nichayach? What is this pleasant aroma that it talks about by the sacrifices? Upirshu Chazal, and our sages of blessed memory, they explained that what's nichayach comes from nachas, right? From a pleasure. Why? Because nachas ruach lefarnei shamarti v'naseh ritzaini. Because it brings a pleasure of spirit before me, right? The ruach can mean like an aroma, but it also means like a spirit. So it brings a great pleasure before me that I commanded, I said, right? You shall say to them, I said, and my will was done. That this is the pleasure. That this is with every mitzvah, right? So the Chazal said about the mitzvahs that it's a nachas ruach before him. It brings him great pleasure that he commanded and his will was done. However, this is with all the mitzvahs. So v'loma nemer b'korban is dafka. So why is this more so stressed by the sacrifices? Why doesn't it say and you will put on tzitzis reach nichayach, right? You will shake an aluv nesig reach nichayach lefanei, right? It's why specifically does it have this reach nichayach, this pleasure that it brings specifically by the karbonis? The gam lahav, and also to understand lama avedas karbonis tli beveis hamikdash dafka. Secondly, why are the sacrifices, why do they hinge on having a holy temple? Masha'enke in shora mitzvahs, the Talmud Torah connected kulam. On the other hand, the other mitzvahs, and even the learning of Torah, which is weighted against all the other mitzvahs, it has a value like all the other mitzvahs combined. And this we do without a Beis Hamikdash. In all the days of Galus, they learned Torah, and it was a mitzvah to learn Torah. So why the Korbanah specifically is connected to having a holy temple?
A few questions actually. So one is so in terms of one is he says the machshava is tefillah. One with tefillah you have to speak it out. You haven't davened if you haven't actually spoken. You have to say the tefillah.
Yeah.
Two is, and this is why I was asking, talking about in terms of times of when the Beis Hamikdash is standing or in times of Galus, because the whole idea of kol osik b'tzorza ola is that, so it used to be that you sin, you brought an ola, you brought chatas or asham, right? But now they don't have Beis Hamikdash, so what do we do? So it's kol osik b'tzorza ola.
Right.
So it wouldn't be shaykh, but okay, that makes, okay, fine. So maybe we're talking about Galus, but he says, v'vod korbanos atzman, right? That's the ma'aseh.
The actual bringing of the So meaning in times of Golus and times of exile, we're only doing the thought and the and the speech part of it, but we're not doing the action part of it.
And there's also like the Mishnah brings down, right? Tzvachim, right? 6 things which have to be done, right? So it has to be right, for the sake of the owner, for the sake of the it has to be for the korban, right? The type of korban it is, right? The shem yishim, the shem rech, shem yichach. I'm forgetting one. It's a shem shisha devarim is of nizbach.
That has to be So you're saying why isn't that a machshava also?
I'm saying in terms of like.
So maybe it is a machshava, but those are specific machshavas that have to do with the action part, with how specifically. Because remember, the laws of the korban also have to do with the korban. But so there's different perhaps we can say it's like how you have there's the right chachma bin das, right, the gimel ration, the 3 heads, the intellect, right, from the 10 midos, from the 10 attributes. But then there's the intellect itself, but then there's also intellect within emotion. Right, and there's in each level. There's also it's made of the 10. So perhaps we could say maybe that these intentions that you have to have, that's like the thought within the action, meaning the action itself is made up of multiple So even within the action, there's the thought part of it. There's also a speech part of it. Right, there was speech that went along with korbanos also, and so perhaps that's the thought. So you have thought of action, speech of action, and action of action, which the action of action is the physical actual bring it. But then you have a different sense. You have a thought and action that's not a thought that's not thought of action, but it's rather just a thought. And remember, even within, it's the other way around too, because even within Limud Torah, there's also a speech of that and a thought of that and an action of that. So, but in a general way, the bringing of the korban is the action level, and in a general way, now again, like you said, by tefillah, by davening, there's also a matter of speaking. But we also know, like for example, that there's like by Shema, there's the idea of hitbonenut, right, of contemplating the unity of Hashem by Shema, and again by Torah the same thing. By Torah, right, by Torah you also have thought. So how can you say Torah is not thought? But the main thing of Torah is the speaking of Torah, but it's also the fact that the Torah is it's Hashem's speech. In other words, Torah is what? It's Chachma of Atzilus, but it's specifically the way that it comes out into the actual letters, into the Malchus of Atzilus, which is Dibur, speech. In other words, they are the letters. There's the thought of God Almighty, and then there's the letters of His thought, which the letters of His thought, Malchus, right, of Atzilus. So that's what the Torah is. It is letters. Now, at the same time, one could say the davening is also made up of words, but in either case, these are the general levels that they are. So now he says he says that the machshava and deeper part, the thought and speech part, we still do, but the action part, the actual bringing of the karbonis, we don't do. Va'afilu machshava udibur de karbonis, not just in general, not just that all the other mitzvahs, right? Not just that all the other mitzvahs. Good night, Zaygebench. Not just all the other mitzvahs we do and karbonis we don't do, but even within karbonis itself, that the thought and speech part of karbonis we do, right? So it's not just that we do the other mitzvahs and karbonis we don't do in the times of exile, but rather we do all the mitzvahs and even the thought and speech of the karbonis. Meaning when we daven, the part of our davening that corresponds to karbonis, and learning Torah corresponding to karbonis, right? We still do that. We still do that even when there's no Beis Hamikdash. Not just do we do it to the point where our doing it is what fulfills our obligation of sacrificing, of making the sacrifices today. So, if that's the case, why is it that we don't do karbonis, and not just we don't do karbonis, but specifically the action part of the carbon we don't do when there's no Beis Hamikdash? In order to understand this, we must first understand the thing that's written, right? It says in Pinchas V'Eschanon, right? Hayoim la'asaysam, today to do them, meaning the mitzvahs, and doesn't say tomorrow to do them, right? Which is this is an add-on from Maseches Eruvin, and Eruvin adds on that it says in V'Eschanon Hayoim la'asaysam, meaning v'lo yimachel la'asaysam, and not tomorrow to do them, to do the mitzvahs, right? Meaning that the sages said that specifically today, what does today mean? On this world, in our life on this world, we have the ability to do mitzvahs, where on the other hand, in the world to come, we don't have that ability anymore. That this physical world specifically is the world of action. And in this world specifically, it was given in the hands of a person to choose good. And not just that, but even more. Even if he already transgressed a misdeed. I don't like the word sin. Sin is like a heathen word. I like the word misdeed. Even if one transgressed a misdeed, right? He can return. He can come back and do tshuva, right? And he can return to the service of Hashem. So not just that in this world, that only in this world you can in the first place choose to do good, which is not what you cannot do in the world to come. But even more in this world, even somebody who's transgressed, even something stringent, he can change his ways altogether, and he can do tshuva, complete tshuva, and he can come back and he can go out of the darkness completely. So he can actually change his koiches and his levushim, right? His powers and his garments. He can change from bad to good, from one extreme to the other extreme. Masha'ain came by Elam Haba, where this is not so in the world to come. Ein bechira chavshis bi'ad adam, where there's no free will in the hands of a person. But however he draws in this world, whatever he draws down in this world, that's how he stays in the world to come. So not just that you can't do more mitzvahs there, and not just you can't do tshuva, but furthermore you remain that way there. What does it mean you remain that way there? That a tzaddik, that all of his days here on this world works in holy things. He's involved in holy things. So when his soul leaves the body down here and he goes to Gan Eden, then up there he rejoices in all the joys of Gan Eden. Why? Because down here, that's what he was drawn to. Because he took joy in godliness down here, so he will be able to take joy. And we're not talking about like reward and punishment here. This is simple cause and effect. And in fact, the Eibishter being so nice, that's why he sends neshamas back down here, because they didn't take advantage of before. He gives them more opportunities to do so. But a tzaddik, right, who was involved in holy things down here, so when he comes up there, it's like the aha, the aha moment, that now all this holiness he was involved in, it's all of a sudden he sees clearly the effects of it and all the closeness that he did over it, because over here, right, it's like when you're going up to a mountain peak, right? Says the guy he puts on the blinders and he goes and he follows the path. He can't see the mountain peak, but he was given a map, and the map shows to follow this path, and he just follows the path. And he can't see the mountain peak. But then when he gets to the mountain peak and he can stop and he looks up, he goes, look, wow, I'm at the mountain peak. Look at this. Right? Where the guy that didn't follow the thing, it's not a punishment that he doesn't see the mountain peak. You didn't follow the path. You looked around, he said, I don't see no mountain peak, I don't get it. Why should I do this? Let me go, I see a valley down there that has green trees. So fine, so you're never going to see the mountain peak. Cause and effect. Right? But however, somebody who was involved in not so good things, right? That when he's in this world, he's sunken into the physical pleasures. So then when he goes to the world to come, he's also drawn after physical pleasures, and guess what? There are none there. So that's what you're drawn after, but there are none there. Whereas the tzaddik who was going after the pleasure of godliness, he comes there. Wow, look how much there is here. And at that point, he can't change it. You can't change it and now go be drawn after godliness. Why? Because that's only something you can do when you're down here. And then when you go up there, you eat the fruits of that. The guy who didn't plant anything doesn't eat the fruits. Where do you plant? In the ground, down here. Says, and even though it's true that he over there he sees the revelation of godliness without in a much greater way than down here. Bishamhu bitlan ivraim, and up and there, meaning in the world to come, is where there's the nullification of the creations. Shekosov, like it's written, Tzva Shamayim L'Chamishtachavim, that the legions of the heavens, meaning all the heavenly the legions of the angels, they bow down to him. And even the shells and the other side, meaning the shells of the lumazeh, right? They're also nullified to him. They call him the God of gods. Right? That's in the in Menachis. Ve'afal pi chein, and even so, ein yochel lishlit benafshei. Hey, tzvikele. He cannot rule over his own self, over his own soul. Lo haitzia mi maskiru maser aguf v'kechesal v'keches nefesh b'hamish nimshach rein v'lamazer. And the imprisonment of the body and its powers of the animal soul that is drawn by them in this world. 1 second, Tzvika is here, and we're just going to I'll do a very quick recap. I can get you a beer or something.
Yeah, what do you got?
There's these are cold. There's a Schweizer label though. We're in this one here.
Beginning?
We were pretty close to the beginning. Actually, we're only a few lines in. So basically, it's talking about Tzav is Benai Yisroel, right? And you should say to them, right, etc., etc. And it says again, V'amarta lahem. It says again, the second time you should say to them. Why 2 times V'amarta? And so he says that all the mitzvahs you have to do in machshava dibur ma'aseh, even the karbanis, which is primarily a mitzvah of ma'aseh, it still has a machshava and a dibur.
Yeah, pickle.
Lots of pickle. But so you have what machshava is tefillah. Right, Avodas Halev, which is connected to Karbanis. Dibur is a Talmud Torah, like it says, Kol ha'isik b'Torah sa'ila, ki Elohikri v'Elah. Right? And what's the actual one? Is the actual sheep they brought? There were actual sheep that they brought. That's the mice. And finally, Sunday. So this is the 2 times V'amarta, that the first V'amarta goes after Machshava Dibur, the second V'amarta goes after the Maisa. So then he said he wants to understand. In order to understand that, I'm going to explain you this. Right? Is that you have to understand the inyan of reach nichayach. What's reach nichayach? That it says by the Karbonis that Chazal say nachas ruach lefani shamarti v'nasar etzayni. Right? And that this is by all the mitzvahs. So the question is, so why does he say reach nichayach by Karbonis? Why doesn't he say by tzitzis? Tzitzis, put on tzitzis reach nichaychi. Isn't it also that his whole timing he gets the fact that he gave you the commandment and you're doing it. Furthermore, to understand why the karbonis have to do with the Beis HaMikdash specifically, that all the other mitzvahs we still do. In fact, not only that Torah, which is connected all the mitzvahs, we also still do. And furthermore, even within the karbonis, we still do the tefillah and we still do Torah karbonis. It's only the Maisa karbonis that we don't do. So now to explain that, he started going into Hayem la Saisam V'Lamacher la Saisam, right? It says Hayem la Saisam, these mitzvahs, right? Today to do them, and the Gemara adds on, and not tomorrow to do them, meaning only in this world, not in the world to come. In this world, we can do mitzvahs. Not only can we do mitzvahs, even if we did Averis, we can do tshuva. Once we hit the world to come, that's how we are. I mean, obviously, we can get sent back down to what do they call it, a mulligan, you know?
Another shit try.
But basically up there, and it's not a punishment. It's that when you were drawn after the things down here, what you were drawn after down here is what you're going to enjoy up there.
Is it possible that some of us are down here for the second time?
Or third or fourth or fifth or ninth?
Right.
Yeah. In fact, most of us.
Yeah.
There's very few people who are mamish on the Neshama Chadasha that are a new soul.
Oh, so we're also but so.
And afterwards, it said about the Alter Rebbe. I think it was the Alter Rebbe. I think it was the Alter Rebbe. Hashem to the Alter Rebbe. There was a whole thing about that. It's a new soul. So fine, but so that means it's a big deal. It's not like just every third person is a.
Hashem said he was.
So it was Alter Rebbe. Then. It was the Alter Rebbe.
Yeah, he said he was a go-go Sadik guy.
Yeah, so it was the Alter Rebbe then.
You just said about something. Well, we can possibly be sent down. Well, all of us.
Yeah, by the way, we could possibly be a new soul, but the odds of it, I don't know that they're necessarily all that great.
Not likely.
Yeah. And quite frankly, I'd rather not be one of those new souls because, like,
It's a lot of.
you know,
Well,
an old soul already did stuff, and I'm adding something. What's it called? A new soul. That's a lot of pressure, man.
Yeah, but also I thought some of us after he made us, he broke the mold. No,
Well, I definitely broke the mold with you. I'll tell you that.
and you're runner up.
Yeah. Okay. So, anyways, so the fact is, when we go up there, right? The mashal we gave was if you're going up a mountain and you can't see, and it's hard climbing or whatever, and you can't see nothing, but you follow the path. You put on the blinders. You follow the path, and that's wind and it's the blizzards and whatever, and you keep going. But then when you get to the top, you look around. Wow, look at this. Why? Because you followed the path up. You didn't see the revelation of the top when you're schlepping and climbing rock after rock. When you got to the top, all of a sudden you saw it. There's another guy who looks up because I don't see no thing. I'm gonna wander around here, and how come I can't see the top of the mountain? Because you didn't follow the path. So al derech zeh, it's not like a punishment. It's simply that the person who down here, he spent his time thinking about holiness and involved in holiness. So when he gets up there, he has an appreciation for holiness, and he's drawn after holiness, and there's plenty of it up there. Somebody who went after all the physical things down there, he continues to be drawn after physical things. There's not a whole lot of it up there. That's all. Yeah, at Al-Chaim, I can get you something.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can open it. That's what it's here for. See, we have the good stuff over here.
Yonis Walker.
Yep, Yonis Walker.
Don't mind me. I'm taking a massage.
By the way, Johnny Walker was my chavrus in yeshiva in Tzvas.
Was he? Jack Daniels was mine.
As long as I have, you can call him John.
No, and by the way, his name it was actually Johnny Walker. It was Yonis Walker. It was actually Daniel Yonis Walker. Okay. Anyway, so when in the world to come, that's what you're drawn out to. Vagam Sharaya. So that's where we're up. You see, it should be not so far down. Vagam Sharaya. Sham Gilul Kuzbes says. Oh, we did that part already. So that even though you see there's a greater revelation. Vagam Sharaya. Sham Gilul Kuzbes says. You see that?
No.
It should be. Let me see. Oh, it should be. Oh wow, we got further than I thought. Right here somewhere. Here. Here. Vagam. Shirei Gil Likuz B'Yasser says V'Shamu Bitla Nivroim. And even though, right, like you said, there's a greater revelation up there of godliness, and up there is the nullification of the creations. Like it says that even the heavenly legions bow to him. And even the klipa and the sitra achra, even the other side, even the shells, meaning though the forces that leech, the forces of evil, even though they also they're also nullified to him, right? Like the Kodolei L'Kodolkai, they call him the God of gods. Even though but he doesn't rule over his soul to be able to take it out of basically the maskir is like a frame, but like the frame and the prison essentially of the body and its powers and the powers of the animal soul that he was drawn after in this world. That's up there, you're still drawn after that. Well, there's a lot less of that than there is down here, whereas vice versa by the tzaddik. That when the spiritual soul goes out of the physical body, it sees and feels that the nullification of all of the creations to the Holy One, blessed be He. And it also, it's in other words, even one who was drawn after physicality here, when he goes up after, he sees that there is that the physical things are not important up there. All the things that he thought were important down here are not important up there. And furthermore, it sees how all the angels also even are nullified. And even the klipa, the source of the things that he was drawn after down here, after his physical desires, the source of his physical desires, meaning that which he desired, is also nullified to God. And furthermore, he sees that these klipas themselves are only acting on God's instruction. That they themselves are just messengers. And meaning even the klipa, right? Even what they call the forces of evil aren't actually evil, because unlike us down here, we're the only ones who have free choice to not do His will. The klipas, the things that we desire, are doing His will because His will is that they stand there for us to choose between Him and them. So in essence, they're doing His desire, even if we're not by choosing them. Right? So, for example, a pig. I mean, literally. I don't mean like us. I mean, literally. You know. I don't even mean the cops. I mean, literally. A pig. Are we supposed to eat a pig? No, we're not supposed to go after our desire to eat a pig. Even if it was roasted with the finest southern barbecue. Still, no, we're not supposed to go after our desires for that. The pig itself was created a pig, and it was created to be a pig, and by being a pig, and then getting cold smoked for 24 hours and making a beautiful smell that you're drawn after, even though you shouldn't be. That's the pig's job. So at the end of the day, even the pig is doing the Eibishter's will. And once we come out of this world, we understand that, we see that. However, even despite the fact that we understand that and see that everything is totally nullified to Him, meaning when we go to the world to come, so even so, He cannot rule on his own soul to change it, to not go after those things, because all those things you can only set while you're down here, and it is still imprisoned. Not only that, not only is it imprisoned, but here it doesn't bother you so much, because here it feels good. There it bothers you. In other words, you're drawn after those things, but it bothers you. V'hu inyan kafakela. And this, in fact, is the kafakela. It says that the slingshot, right? So when you say the slingshot, people think of a big, gigantic slingshot, or maybe a big ghostly slingshot. That's like
catapult.
Yeah, a catapult, right? But people think of maybe a big ghostly catapult. You can put your hand through whatever. That's the only thing you can throw. It throws souls from back and forth. But actually, this is the right. It means a catapulting arm. That it catapults and throws and drops him basically in his thoughts, into his own thoughts that he had when he was in this world, in the how do you say, like hevel, the worthless things, the vainness or something,
vanities.
Like the vanities. Oh, the vanities, perfect, of this world. That what do? They take him and they basically they put him within his own brain as he was down here. That's what the kafakela is. People think it's like
Lightism, isn't that like making fun of?
Well, it's like a let, but it's like they toy with him, meaning
and show him.
It's like they toy with him. How do they toy with him? By
showing him like he's still.
They give him pictures of how he was when he was alive, and they make him like relive that. But the difference is when he was down here. In other words, one of the things when we come to the world to come is everybody sees the truth. We have the true realization, right? So then they show us down here, but without removing that realization of its true nature. Down here, we don't have its true nature. It's hidden from us. So that's something we do kind of on faith, right? On the other hand, when we go in the world to come, what do? They show this. They make us relive that. But what? But with the knowledge of what they know up there. So it's a horrible torture.
Take all the fun.
Right. By the way, the funny thing is, you could have the same thing, right? You know, it's like if you go to an Irish, see, it's a good time. I was going to say if you go to an Irish pub.
All right.
If you take somebody who's never been in a pub and he's never drank and never anything, and he goes in an Irish pub, and I'll see they're breching all over the place, and they're late deep into the night, and things are being smashed and they're falling over tables and they're falling over each other, getting fist fights. What a horrible place. You take a proper Irishman and put it in there, and go, oh, look at this, right?
Time to start singing.
Yeah, so exactly. So it's the same thing. If you take the guy, the tzaddik, and show him what he did in this world, and you take the other one and show him in this world with that realization, it's a very different experience. So the kafakela, this slingshot, what it is they're toying with him by, they show him his and it says he goes from end of the world to end of the world. So first they take him and they show him the revelation, right? Look at the revelation and everything is God, right? And they go, oh, check this out. Oh, remember that? Oh, that was you. What were you thinking then? You remember? Oh, and then they take him back to revelation. That's this slingshot that takes him. That's so horrible. It takes him from the end of the world to the other.
But he must actually feel and believe like he's back in Olam Hazeh, right? Because that's what he says. Marin loy kilo adenu.
Yeah, but the difference is he's doing the same thing.
But does he realize?
Imagine me now doing what I'm doing, thinking what I'm thinking. No, well, it's the same thing, but it's imagining you think you're alive, and imagine you think you're doing what you're doing right now. But all of a sudden you realize, realize godliness, that it's and all of a sudden what you're doing becomes disgusting to you, but you can't stop, and you're still doing it. And you're horrified at what you're doing, what you're thinking, at what you're. That's the basic. Now, to be fair, at least that I can remember, I don't remember. I've probably been there a few times before coming back down here. It's possible I've been there a few times. I don't remember it, so I can't tell you for sure. So I'm gonna have to go by his word of what it is, but. Right. So it says in the pasuk. I'm not reading inside now, I'm just explaining. In Shmuel it says that, right, and the soul of my master will be tied in the chain of life. And the soul of your enemies will be thrown into the kafakela, into this what do you call it? Not a trebuchet, it's a catapult, yeah. Into this catapulting arm. So the inner meaning of that is that the pasuk is talking about the souls of tzaddikim and the souls of Rishayim, right? That the souls of the tzaddikim that work down here in godliness, so also after they go up, they're also tied in that. They're tzar b'tzerech chaim. So they're completely tied in the joy of Eibishter. On the other hand, the person who was drawn after us guys, the people who are drawn after the physical things alone. So that it says that they will be thrown in this catapult, right? Which meaning that he's going to be taken from side to side in Olam Hazeh, in the things that he was involved in. And now, to what degree is that going to be painful? Depends what we're involved in. And I guess it also depends on if we did tshuva for them, because I guess the things we did tshuva for aren't going to count. They're not going to. It's only going to be the things that we didn't do, because that's one of the things of this world. It's not just that you can pick the right thing in the first place. It's that you can do tshuva on the thing that you did. So if you did tshuva on that thing, it's not. So it's done. So it's only the things that we didn't manage to do tshuva on, which is why the Egged bus drivers on the Haifa to Tzvas route are so important. I've done tshuva many a time on that road.
Oh, when they roll around.
You know those,
yeah.
You know those. Apparently they don't realize that the left pedal has a purpose. They don't.
They don't give it a special name, but they got something like that in Colorado. They call it the Oh My God Trail.
Yeah,
it's exactly like that.
Yeah, you're in a bus. So remember the way the wheels of a bus works. There's times that like you're like looking down, you're actually like overhanging the edge over there. So this is also the they don't have any rest. Why? Because they throw him in all kinds of situations like he was in this world, and all kinds of foreign thoughts, and they basically they come back and pull him back out, and he's like, but he's going in there with a realization of the truth, and he's seeing it, and he's horrified by it. So now we're back in the text of Likkutei that the machshava dibur ma'aseh, the thought, speech, and action, which are the three kinds of garments, as is known, right? That are thought, speech, and action. Right, my action is not my soul. But it is a garment of my soul. It's something that my soul is using as a garment. It's like my soul is wearing my action, and it wears my. Absolutely. So these things. Hold on 1 second. I gotta open the door. The code doesn't work after a certain time. You come in and you're ready. So the thought, speech, and action that a person has, those are garments to his soul. And when he goes to the world to come, these become filthy and disgusting clothing in the world to come. That they basically that's the kavakel. What do? They put your old clothes on you. They put your thought, action, and speech back on. You thought you left these dirty clothing behind, and they go away. Right? You went into the palace of the king, left the dirty clothing behind. Right? You're coming in front of the king. I was gonna go, wait, you come here. You seem to have left this behind. Would you mind putting them on and showing the king what you're wearing? You know? What is it? Melafafte. They make him a falafel. Where is this from? 15 Seta. Kolo Ivra Aveda Achs Beil Mazeh. Melafafte Velech is the fun of the Emadin. They meaning they I think it comes from like maftia. They surprise him, right, and walk in front of him on the day of judgment, right? So he comes to the day of judgment. He comes up to the next world. His soul doesn't even have a body anymore. He feels so beautiful, and he sees the revelations of godliness, all of a sudden, all of his dirty clothes pop up, right? You know, like the clothes like that dance by themselves with nobody in them. Hello, remember us? That the thought, speech, and action, those are the enclosements of the internal powers of this of a soul. Here, let me give you this. Or you can grab one of these if you want. But that's this one, Tzav. So, for example, like when a person desires a certain thing, so he thinks about it, he speaks about it, to the point where he does actions about it. Right? First, I'm using very low-level things. First, he thinks about the pig. Then he talks about the pig, and then he eats the pig. Right? Why? To fulfill his desires. And when he's steeped in these desires of the world, so then his clothing are filthy clothing. And his soul is dressed in them. Why? Because your soul is dressed in your thought, action, and speech. So when your thought are dirty thoughts, and your speech is dirty speech, and your actions are dirty actions, right? I'm not using exactly his words, but so those are the clothing of those are the clothes of your soul, because thought, speech, and action are the clothes of your soul. So it turns out that when you dress yourselves in these bad thoughts, actions, and speech, so even when your soul leaves the body, these garments, they still dress the body. Even though the body's gone, they dress the soul from its head until its feet. And the person cannot save himself from them. These clothes, they go with you. Now, the clothes that your body wore doesn't go with you. But the clothing of your soul goes with you. And like we know that a person cannot free himself. Somebody who's who's imprisoned cannot free himself. But like it says, right? We know this is. It says. In Zechariah, it says, take off these filthy clothes from the filthy clothes, which, by the way, that's the prophets, right? Besides from not Moshe Rabbeinu, but most of the prophets, when they would prophecy.
Prophesize?
Prophecy. I like prophecy. When they put prophecy.
It worked.
They would actually lose their bodily control, and they would end up with dirty clothes. And also they would roll on the ground and things like this. So they'd end up filthy. So like it says, take off these dirty clothes. And what's Hasido Dafke? I think it means that they take it off. They take it off from him. That it gets taken out. That the meaning. I think I don't remember exactly. I have to look up in Zechariah, but I think it's he's telling other people to take it off from him, to remove the dirty clothes from him. I'll have to look it up to be sure. But anyways, a person cannot.
Why necessarily?
Well,
because
I'm saying
like you're speaking to.
I know, so that's why it was right. Hasiru take off, but right, yeah. So it could be. So that's what I'm saying in Zechariah. I think I'd have to look. I have to look it up in Zechariah, but I think the context there is he's telling other people to do it. We'd have to look it up in Zechariah to be sure. But in either case, his point that he's making is that a person cannot free himself, and a person cannot take himself out in the world to come from being tied to the dirty clothes. And taking them off is only through the trials and tribulations of Gehenna and the catapult that throws from side to side. V'lo al yedei tshuva. Right? What's the difference between tshuva down here and the kafakela, right? This catapult and Gehenna and I don't know. It's translated as purgatory, but it's not really. In other words, the Hadean images that conjures is very off of what Gehenna actually is. So we'll just call it Gehenna. But Gehenna and the catapult,
the clean room.
the cleansing, the cleaners,
the clean room before you go into the real place. You got to clean you off first.
Wait, what's the real place?
Got it?
Well, ultimately, it's all the path to there.
Oh, I thought it might have been like seasoning him for the.
You got to sweat it. You got to sweat the what do they call it when they bathe it when they give the turkey bath. Right. So the difference is that the kafakela, right? This catapult and Gehenna is something that's done to you. Tshuva is something that you do. Tshuva, down here on this world, with repentance, we free ourselves. We have the ability to free ourselves down in this world. Once we go to the next world, we don't have that ability to free ourselves anymore. So we have to understand, why is it that tshuva helps in this world, but not in the next world? Why can't I repent in the next world? Like what's the difference? Okay, I was here, and I didn't realize there's not so much, it's not so easy to feel godliness down here. So what's it called? And then now when the soul left the body, I come up here and I see the revelation of godliness. So now I want to repent. What's the problem with that? Right? So why here you can actually change your situation into a good situation, and in the world to come, you're tied to how you left. To how you left from here.
It's too obvious then.
Yeah. And even through Gehenna.
It's only a chiddush when you have a choice.
Right. And even through Gehenna, even once you go in the cleaning rooms. Well, yeah. But I'm saying, but what? But so fine, it's a much more powerful thing, but why not? But why not? Especially since we know it's cause and effect. So what's the thing that? In other words, he's going to explain the mechanics of it, I assume, as the Alter Rebbe tends to do.
It almost sounds like how someone having an affair. It's only exciting when the spouse doesn't know. But like, what if they told their spouse? And the spouse is fine with it. It's not exciting anymore. It's like then they don't want it. Yeah.
Well, it's like for example, most of the things that kids get in trouble for, right? Especially you have people get in trouble, whether it's with the law or whether it's doing things that Tanhol the yeshiva doesn't want them to do at any level of it, right? Half of the thing, I'll give you an example. If you go, and let's even talk about something that's not like a big deal. You go and you stay in your dorm room all day in yeshiva, right? What's exciting about that? What's exciting is you're not supposed to do it. Right. If you walked into Zal and the guy said, go stay in your room all day. You need to stay in my room all day. It's boring there. What do you come on, can you let me back into it? Right? Not only that, if he told you you're not allowed to come in Zal, that guy's gonna all of a sudden be trying to sneak into Zal, hide behind other guys. What's it called? Oh, I'm in Zal, I'm learning.
What's the pasuk? It's
yeah.
You know a story about the guy?
Yimtiku, Mayim Gnov Yimtiku.
The guy who
or Yimtaku, I think it is actually.
Told the Rebbe he had trouble learning. It's not exciting anymore. And the Rebbe told him, learn 5 minutes a day, but you're not allowed to learn any more than 5 minutes. So you come into 770 and make a charusa or something, whatever it was. And the charusa is instructed also, no longer than 5 minutes. 5 minutes. The timer goes off, you have to get out.
Stop.
And then once he started learning a little bit, and the timer went off, he's like, wait, can we just finish? He goes, no.
Yeah, no finishing, you gotta go on.
But I want to. And he wanted to stay and learn.
Yeah. So, fine. So what happens? And even through Gehenna, right? Even when he's going through even after he goes through the cleaning, the car wash, the soul wash. So so what does that do? It cleans the bad off of him. It cleans this dirt off of him, right? However, he doesn't actually change over to good. Because why? Only on this world you can do good. You want to do a mitzvah, you want to add in your joy of godliness, you can only do it down here. So even though Gehenna maybe will remove let me join you for one. Even though Gehenna can remove the garbage from you, right? But it can't. But you can't do any now. Okay, now I went through Gehenna. Refuah Shalema, Yisef Yitzchak ben Simchasia and Baruch Mendel ben Bela should have an immediate refuah shalema in miraculous ways, and lav dafka, even that through nature looks normal. Like tell Eibishter, we don't care about that. Well, yeah, whatever, however you want to listen, we don't care about that.
I gotta go right now, but
and Mazel Tov to the Baruch Hyman and Type Hyman, the engagement of their daughter Bela to Avrami Reichik.
They should see.
And they should have many, many long years of seeing the grandchildren and great grandchildren, etc. Yeah,
the wedding, the brisim, the bar mitzvahs,
the weddings. Yeah, b'chol. Amen.
Fine.
I have to go, but have any of you spoken to Mashiach lately?
Me?
Yeah, I wonder if he's calling off the fast.
Is he calling off? No, he has a sense of humor. He's going to show up right at the end of it. He's going to be like whatever it is, not 9:36, ta-da, or whatever the time is, wherever anyone happens to be. I don't even know what it is here. I have to look it up still. I never look up when the fast ends until the fast. In the beginning, I don't want to know. I want to know when it begins. That I want to know.
Make sure when to stop saying l'chaim.
Yeah, I know, right? But there's some mornings in
the summertime, it's an issue.
Yeah. Anyway, Gidon. By the way, you'll still be. You can catch further on the. This is if all of our equipment's going right, it should be on YouTube, v'chulu, etc. Facebook, YouTube, whatever it is, you should be able to catch more of it.
Like that.
Yeah. Okay. Yashakach, thanks so much for. Yeah, it's good. It's good to see you.
You as well. Thank you.
Yeah, and you should have hatzlacha in everything. Begashmis, beruchnis, gam yachad. I can never remember if it's two and shidduchim in its time, etc. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. Take care. Good to see you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So the Tama Hefrish. What's the reason for the difference? What's this difference between the world? So fine, so we know in this world, in that world, why? What is it about this world?
I know I miss this. Is this like a thing like no,
We're talking about the Kafir Kala.
I'll recap again.
It's like a similar idea, right?
Tzav is Benai Yisroel says Vamarta Vamarta.
Something special about this one.
Tzav, right? By Tzav is Benai Yisroel says Vamarta Vamarta.
Okay.
Fine. Why does it say Vamarta 2 times? Right? You know, like by the Talmud, right? It says Vamarta Elohem, then it goes back and it says V'yomar, right? Right? Tzav is Benai Yisroel Vamarta Elohem. It's coming like me, and then again V'yomarta Elohem. Right?
Right.
Why does it say Chaimke? Why does it say 2 times V'yomarta? Right? So he says it's Keneged. It's Keneged. Machshava and Dibur of the Karbonis is the first V'yomarta, and the second one is the Maisa Karbonis. The Machshava is the Tefillah, that's corresponding to the Karbon, right? And the Dibur is Torah, which is corresponding to the Karbon. No Chayinke. And the Maisa is the sheep. It's mamish a sheep that we.
For you, it's possible to sneak up on us. You got a key. Everyone else has to call, and we have to let him in.
So the Maisa is the carbon itself, the actual sheep, right? So that's the two amartas. One is on machshava dibur, one is on ma'aseh, which as we'll see are two categories. Why? Okay. So. Oh yeah, I have it. It's here. So he says, it's further. So to understand this, we have to understand something else. It says reach nicheach by kabbanis, right? That the Chazal say about that, right? Nachas ruach lefanai she'amarti v'nasu l'tzayni. It's a pleasure by me that I said and they did my will, right? But hang on a second. This has to do with all the mitzvahs. It's just a alarm trip, something. Yeah, it's fine. It's just
I used to work.
Oh, you know how to do that. Okay, good.
You still recording?
Yeah. I always still record. Well, not always. But, Hes Label, you're listening still? Label, you're not going to be able to listen if you're over there. I mean, you are, but put your ear this way. There's only so many times we can recap. Oh! We have a heading going out. See, now if we had a way to send that over the internet waves, imagine you could stick a piece of herring into the Zoom. And wouldn't that be something? And then out of the guy's speaker would.
No, see, the thing about teleportation is that once it's actually possible, it would only make logical sense to turn whatever you're turning into gold or diamonds or something, because
you know why?
Just as easily as you could turn it back.
It would, but if you know how economics works, then gold and diamonds would become worthless, and ultimately food is something more usable. The only reason that gold and diamond is so is because for a little you can carry a little diamond and buy a whole lot of food with it.
They'd be calling it Mendelflation.
Yeah, Mendelflation. Yeah. So what's the difference between Eilam Haz and Eilam Haba? Eilam Haba in the Chadavar.
That's before you.
In the Chadavar she'ein lo makin. Right? Shekol madrega himuvdelis michaverto. That in the world to come, there's no thing that doesn't have a place. That every level is separated from its friend. Malachim and neshama zigdur shemuvdom v'nei atzmum. All the angels and the neshama and the souls of holiness, they are separated by themselves. Ve'ein lahara shaychos imateiv klal. And the bad and the good are not intermixed, which, as we know, that was the whole thing in the first one of the first Maimarim anyway.
What is
you can smell. That's the good stuff.
Give it a good smell. See, it's good.
It's a serious food. It's actually very flavorful. Also, it's got some kick, not like crazy kick, but it's a very flavorful. This is Reb David's famous. Anyways. So everything is separated. So, and like we know, right? This was the whole problem with Eitz Hadas and Eitz Chaim, right? Is what did they do when they ate from the Eitz Hadas? Is they made that he was aware of bad. Mm-hmm. What was the problem? He was aware of bad. The problem is that by him the bad could leech off of him. By the angels, it wasn't an issue because they know about the bad, but they're separated from it. They have no connection to it. And therefore, in a place that bad goes, the good can't go. Right? Every single thing in the world to come has its specific place, and it does not have any connection to its opposite. So even though you have the angels of bad, and the klipe, right, the shells. And that they even though they see and they understand the nullification of the holy angels, but where they're standing on the side of bad, and they can't change themselves from bad to good. The bad angel is a bad angel. That's his job. His job is to be a bad angel. He can't become good. Why? Because in that world, everything has its place, and that's his place. Because in the place of the bad, the good doesn't go, and the place of the good, the bad doesn't go. Which is why it wasn't a problem that the angels before the human being understood evil. Because they weren't susceptible to being drawn to it. Because they're in their place, and they're in their place. However, Now, and since the world to come is every single level has its boundaries, so the place and the level of bad cannot draw the light of holiness and nullification into it. And therefore, a soul that sins, even though it perceives the nullification of all the creations to the Holy One, blessed be He, but it doesn't change through this. Why? Because you're not on this world anymore. You're in the world to come. In the world to come, you're in your place. You know of the other place, you perceive it, but you change by it. On the other hand, in this world, it's drawn down even in a place that is bad. And therefore, a person can change himself. And I'm going to actually stop the thing for now. When we start the next part, I'll do it again. It'll be part 2 on